Recently, during a conference, Jean-Luc Mélenchon engaged in a dialogue with Ousmane Sonko, the leader of a Senegalese political party. The topic of LGBT rights emerged, sparking heated debates within Senegal. Today, we're joined by Nadi Datebe, a tech entrepreneur with an impressive portfolio. She is the founder of the nonprofit Boys and Girls Clubs of Senegal and the cybersecurity company Nadi Tech LLC. Her latest venture is the Senegal English Media Group, a pioneering news outlet that provides English-language news about Senegal. This makes it the first of its kind in the country. Now we'd love to hear your insights on a complex issue. How do you perceive the impact of recent discussions on LGBT rights on Senegal's political landscape? And what do you think should be Senegal's stance on LGBT rights?
Thank you for having me, Alicia. This is a very complex situation that we're dealing with right now in Senegal. But what I can tell you is this. Senegal, as a republic, is bound by certain contracts and regulations. You're probably going to tell me that Senegal is an autonomous republic with the power to enact its own laws and regulations, so it can do whatever it wants in terms of, criminalizing LGBT rights. And I would agree that it is an autonomous republic with the power to enact its own laws and regulations. However, it is very important that we know this. Despite being an autonomous republic, Senegal must also comply with certain external regulations. It is crucial that we know this. And LGBT rights, being a fundamental aspect of human rights, demand that everyone should have the right to live their lives as they choose, the freedom to live their lives as they choose and love whom they want. This is a principle that Senegal must uphold. Now, the question of whether Ousmane Sonko should have been radical, or definitive in his response to Jean-Luc Mélenchon regarding the legalization of LGBT rights and the granting of same or equal rights to the LGBT community is again a very complex topic. Simply because Ousmane Sonko's response would have reflected Senegal's response, Senegal's stance. And as we all know, he made it clear that he was meeting him in his capacity as the leader of a political party, not as the Prime Minister of Senegal. Although these two roles may overlap sometimes, especially when dealing with, when meeting a prominent figure such as Mélenchon, who is an advocate of LGBT rights. So it is very important that to be clarified. So Ousmane Sonko's response as the leader of a political party was within his rights. Now, to your question regarding Senegal's stance on LGBT rights, what I can tell you is this. Senegal, in all honesty, and this is my own belief, Senegal cannot adopt a radical stance on LGBT rights, nor can it criminalize them, simply because that would infringe upon the human rights of the LGBT community in Senegal, and even contravene the constitution, the Senegalese constitution, which guarantees everyone the right to life. And not only that, Senegal having championed so many human rights causes internally and, in an international sphere, cannot regress and penalize its own LGBT citizens. Now, I think the focus should be on fostering an open-minded approach and concentrating on the development of Senegal, rather than wasting time regulating who one should love. The priority should be to cultivate a deep understanding and tolerance of the leaders we have elected to advance our country. And Jean-Luc Mélenchon, as a prominent advocate of LGBT rights, would naturally promote the LGBT agenda. So this is normal, this is expected, and it is part of his role, and we need to understand that. Even though raising the issue of LGBT rights in Senegal could spark heated debates, as we're witnessing right now, and potentially undermine the credibility of our leaders, it is important to understand this and avoid discouraging our leaders by attacking them or making them feel worthless. We need to show our leaders that we support them, which gives them the strength to continue with the task of developing Senegal. If we make them feel unwanted, untrusted, or even worthless, they may become discouraged and repeat the same mistakes of previous leaders and governments, and we've been there before. None of us want to go back there again. When leaders lack the support of the people they represent, it is easy for them to become self-interested, disregard the needs of people, and even resort to tyranny, using, the police and army against the people during protest. But if we form a united front behind our leaders, show them trust, and demonstrate our support, we can discourage and deter external forces, from interfering in our country's affairs. Because this strong support, can even prevent these forces from creating chaos in an attempt to install a leader who will serve their interests. So, in closing remarks, what I would say is this. The conference itself was focused on the relationship between Africa and Europe, as I understand it. And it covered various topics, including human rights. And LGBT rights naturally took center stage, as they represent a fundamental aspect of human rights nowadays. And Ousmane Sonko did not respond as Senegal's Prime Minister. He responded as the leader of a political party and attended the conference as the leader of his political party. So again, his response was within his rights.
Alright, so we're just gonna transition to Wolof here very quick.